All right, we're live again for another Whale Club Hangout. As always, you can find myself, BTC Vix, AABTC, BTC Drac when he shows up all over at the Whale Club TeamSpeak, ts.whaleclub.io. Uh, Largely a Bitcoin-centric trader community, but some of us there like to play the altcoins, and it seems fitting that we have our first predominant altcoin exchange here with BitTrex, and we got Bill Shahara, the founder. So, Bill, why don't you take us through some of your background, your team, and how BitTrex came about in the altcoin scene?
Sure. And so thanks for having me, guys. So my background is I've been in software engineering for quite a long time. I'm going to actually turn 40 this month, so it's kind of scary to think about, actually. So I've been doing software for about 18 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that. And for actually a good chunk of my career, I've been doing is it 18? Yeah, 18. Oh my God, terrible. Yeah, for a good chunk of my career, I've been doing security work. So that's primarily been my background. And the other founders in BitTrex, Rami and Richie, we're all security guys. We've done engineering at pretty large scale and been working on security, both products as well as securing some of the largest software-based software products in the world. So we've worked at companies like Microsoft, Amazon, BlackBerry, a variety of different companies. So we got together. Man, it's been kind of a wild, weird ride with Bitcoin, because I remember Richie telling me about Bitcoin, kind of when the first craze was going around and Bitcoins were probably about 20 bucks. And we bought some graphics cards and we did some mining, and then the floor fell out on Bitcoin, and I remember just turning off the wallet and completely forgetting about it. And a year later, Richie was like, "Hey, man, did you see that Bitcoins are like 600 bucks now?" And it kind of dawned on me that I'd formatted my hard drive and probably lost several $1,000s worth of Bitcoins. But we sort of looked at that and we said, that's pretty cool. We've always thought that the technology was great, and we started thinking around, about different businesses that we could build, different services that we could provide that would be useful to people who are into Bitcoins. And then as we started investigating this, we realized that there were all these other coins. And I remember, we mined Dogecoin for a little when that was new, Earthcoin. We might even done Mintcoin. There are a lot of coins, just starting out that we would just point the graphics cards at and mine a little. And as we were doing that, we started to realize that the trading experience was pretty horrible. There were only a few people out there trading. We tried to trade with Mt. Gox for a while. We tried to trade on a bunch of different sites, and the experience just wasn't that great. So we started to kind of think about, what could we do in this space? Was there anything that we could provide? And Richie came up with the idea to build an exchange. And so we pulled in Rami, and we pretty much we built BitTrex. And so from the ground up, we've been always focused on security and performance. I will fully admit that at times the user experience can be a little clunky, and we're constantly trying to improve that and making it better for people. But at the heart of everything, our biggest focus has always been around security, making sure that all the funds that anyone deposited into our site, or any of the trades that they made, that they would always receive their coins, and then and that people can easily steal them from the site.
So, I don't know if I missed it. When was BitTrex actually founded?
Well, we got together. This was, I think, in December of 2013, and we launched our beta in February of 2014. And we actually went live in March of 2014. We just celebrated our 1 year anniversary last month.
Yeah, so like I did some altcoin trading kind of around that time. I remember being kind of a part of Cripsy and then over to MintPal. It seems like you guys had a big, the big surge and rise was after the fall of MintPal. Is that correct? Am I getting that history right?
I don't think so. I think we were. So MintPal launched about a month before we did, and they probably saw the same opportunity. They probably realized that there was a lot of room for improvement in the exchange space. So they launched about a month before we did. But there was a time, and I guess it depends on when you or what you consider to be the fall of MintPal. But we were neck and neck with them for a while, and we really liked them personally. The Jays that worked on the MintPal site. One of the things I think people don't realize is that there's kind of a camaraderie with the exchanges. We try to work together because forks hurt all of us. Exploits in wallets, things like that. We try to help each other, make sure that we're sort of protecting the integrity of the environment. So we got along pretty well with them, but I would consider the fall of MintPal really when they sold, not necessarily really any time before that.
And this kind of is a little bit of a nice lead-in for me because I remember MintPal, largely they would pick the next coin or coins they were going to add on the exchange through like a voting system. How do you guys go about determining the criteria to add new coins to BitTrex? How's that process work?
Well, I guess the first thing I'll say is we never believed in paid voting. So I know that there are some sites, and this has largely gone away, but when we first launched BitTrex, we saw that a lot of websites had paid voting for coin launches, and we just never believed in that. We thought, our philosophy is where we can, we try to launch every coin. From a practical perspective, that's not possible. So what our main process is we listen to the community. We sit around in our RSC channels or on coin markets or on Twitter, and as people are talking about coins, then we look at them, we investigate them, we say, okay, hey, someone's talking about this new coin that just launched today and they're mining it. I go and look in Bitcoin Talk or on the coin's website, and I read a little about the coin. And there's one part. There's actually two gates to coins getting onto the exchange. One is I do a compliance check. So we do just a very light legal review on it, and after that, if it passes those checks, then we do a security review. We do. I wouldn't say it's a perfect review, but we certainly do review both ourselves, and we also get third parties involved in helping us review coins before we launch them onto the site. So, periodically we turn up, rogue wallets that, have exploits in them that allow the developer to mint, any random amount of coins. And so we try the best as we can. I don't know that we'll ever be perfect at it, but we try as best as we can to find those things and stop them from getting onto our exchange.
Yeah, and I'll just bring in BTC here because he was kind of going over with me that you guys are doing some stuff with the USD pairs.
Well, so those are definitely coming. It's
so what are the main obstacles right now?
It's a priority. So one of the things that, and I think this has been talked about considerably, both with us in the BitTrex team as well as a lot of people outside of it, is that when we do the USD rollout, it's primarily going to be Bitcoin first. I think that's the right market to start with, and it's got the most interest and the most trade volume. After that, we may look at providing some USD altcoin pairs, but we'll be very careful about those. I think we want to choose the right coins if we're going to do that. Make sure that there's enough liquidity, enough distribution.
Well, AABTC is, he's very heavily in the altcoin, so I really want his opinion concerning the USD pairs, like what he thinks is if that's really viable from, a product standpoint from somebody who trades altcoins a lot.
Well, yeah, I think it has a lot of potential because, I mean, you'd be able to do both things on the same platform, right? So what I'm actually curious about is what sort of obstacles really remain for this, because you were mentioning some things about that.
Yeah, so most of the obstacles are, well, it's twofold. One is regulatory, so making sure that we have all the licenses in place to be able to do that. I think it's well known that in the U.S. financial services are heavily regulated, so that's one of the hurdles. The other hurdle is again liquidity, right? I don't just want to launch a USD market. We don't want to go through the process of getting the permits or all the licensees and setting up all the markets and then having them all be duds. So some of it is also timing. We're working with the community, making sure that there's enough demand for it, and certainly this is one of the reasons why I think it's great to have this dialogue with Whale Club. If you guys want to trade on a U.S. exchange and trade both BTC and other altcoins in USD, then please let us know. We want to continue to understand what the demand is, and the more demand for it, the faster we'll speed this thing up.
I find it somewhat, you're kind of alluding to it. Once an exchange touches fiat, they really open themselves up to, a much larger oversight. Now, with BitLicense, I don't know how that's going to turn out. Maybe you guys are just kind of foreseeing it coming down the pipe, so you're kind of aligning with that. What additional requirements are you seeing right away that once you touch USD versus just staying crypto?
So aside from the state-by-state licensees, there definitely needs to be an AML KYC program. I think there's really no way around that, and to be honest, aside from us, well, I guess I'll step back a little. One of the things that I didn't talk about in sort of the founding of BitTrex was not just where we focused on building a secure and performant platform, but we also wanted to make sure that it was going to be compliant and legal. This is maybe this dates me a little bit, or I don't know, maybe some of you guys will remember this, but I remember when I used to play a lot of online poker, and I got caught up in NetTeller getting frozen and having a bunch of my funds just stuck someplace. I think it was for about 6 months. That's the kind of thing like we never want to have happen to our exchange. And so, we consult with some of the best lawyers out there in the Bitcoin space, Perkins Coie. They're the firm that represents us, and we work very closely with them to make sure that we're always up there and compliant and providing you the safest experience that we can. So that's not going to be any different when it comes to adding USD. We're going to be compliant with all of the laws that's going to be required of us, and we're going to make sure that you guys can take advantage of that. When you trade, I think there's something to be said about trading in a U.S.-based exchange because you know that there's going to be a certain amount of consumer protection for you guys, and the way that the government assures that is by having a lot of these, a lot of the regulations in place.
So, I actually had a hour-and-a-half long conversation with the Bitstamp CEO yesterday, and it's interesting to hear his perspective on things as kind of echoing a lot of the things you're saying as far as compliance and kind of this comfort of where my money is and is it regulated. But clearly the trend right now in crypto is actually against that. And there's a trade-off. The trade-off is with those kind of protections and that safety and that oversight, maybe the comfort to the trader knowing where their funds are, if they have a legal avenue to pursue if something goes wrong. It kind of the trade-off there is they tend to lack innovation and product development. And I'll kind of push that into something we were discussing before we went live is we see the futures markets in Bitcoin, and I was kind of saying to you that I think maybe some altcoin traders, like the first generation altcoin traders that saw Bitcoin go from 100 to 1,000, looked and said, okay, I missed that boat, I'm going to go trade altcoins now, because there was still those like 10, 20 plus X potentials. Now they have a futures market of 20X, and there's a lot less incentive for them to go back to altcoin trading. So what I'm kind of driving in here now is to like a futures product concerning altcoins, not to the extent of 20X, like a 3X product, and something that you could have some objective criteria. Say if it reaches 100 BTC volume, then you could offer, say, a 2 or 3 day future, because that's a hot product. It's a product that, as a trader, it interests me, and this is a very trader-oriented community. Can you make some comments on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is something, in our previous conversation, I did talk to you about this, and I personally am pretty excited about offering more and more trade types and to traders, both of BTC traders and altcoin traders. The problem that we always face when it comes to altcoins is that we have to make sure that there's enough liquidity in that market. I don't want to people trying to trade futures on some coin that maybe they don't realize that the developer is holding 80% of it or something like that, where they could get easily manipulated out of their positions or just downright just dumped on and crushed, right? We want to make sure that if we're going to offer something like this, that it's for both sophisticated traders and it's for coins that can sustain that level of activity. So I actually think 100 BTC volume coin a day is probably not even enough volume. I think it'd have to be something in the high triple digits, if not like 1,000 BTC a day type of a coin. So,
well, I mean, do you think that this is something that might need to be put into the wild and see if it can survive? Because AABTC, you trade altcoins a lot. I'm sure you can see a need, even if it would be just a 1x of shorting of the coins, but with some at least a little bit of leverage. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it would add a lot of stability to some coins, but Bill has a point. I mean, right now the alt scene is very nascent, and there's not that many candidates that would be able to support, like definitely not 20x or anything. I was thinking, maybe like 2 at most or something. That would already be an extreme amount of volatility. But yeah, I think like maybe Darkcoin or there's a few candidates I think that would be able to handle that depending.
Yeah, I would be really interested in talking to some of these coin foundations, and having them talk to us about what they think, what they think the demand would be, because we need to hear it from both sides, right? I firmly believe that if we offered a product like that, traders will use it. But one of the things that I worry about, and maybe I shouldn't worry about this because everyone's an adult, everyone goes into this thing eyes wide open, but man, I sit in the CoinMarkets IRC channel, and every couple of days you hear about some guy who I would chat with every day quitting BTC because he just lost his shirt 20xing something, and so I worry about that kind of situation. So obviously we want to hear from traders, make sure that traders are interested in doing this, and then we also want to make sure that we're picking the right coins. So if there are foundations out there or coin development groups out there who think their coin could really stand up to that level of trading and generate that kind of volume, then we'd love to hear from them. And we'll absolutely work something out. But like I said, I'm a big fan of this. I think how we actually roll it out and implement it should be the subject of debate. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we're always constantly within the community trying to get their feedback on how to improve the site as well as what they want. So this is something that if it keeps coming up or more people are asking for it, then we're absolutely going to put it in. We're going to put it in. But I do want to say, like, yes, I think sooner rather than later we'll pick a couple of coins and we'll try this thing out. And it's got to be the right coins, because certainly I don't want the Black Coin Foundation or something coming to me and saying, hey, you just destroyed our coin because you offered future contracts on it or something, right? We want to make sure that they're well aware of what, whoever it is that we try to enable this on, they're also well aware of it and they're prepared. So anyway,
I
hopefully
feel
that answers the question.
Yeah, I certainly feel like it's coming. Somebody is listening, and somebody knows that, taking a look at, like I was saying earlier, the success of, like OK Coins futures, and they have to see some potential in the alts, and that's why I was looking on it more of like a kind of a limited basis, because we know that the altcoins go through some very large volume fluctuations. But to see something where, like I was kind of saying, like a flavor of the day or flavor of the several days contract, I think would be something that people could get on board. And like I look at it, because I really don't have a lot of interest in trading alts. It's a confession of mine. But when I see some product that I describe, and to hear like Tron and Crave and these coins that are going crazy, then actually it has my interest, and I would probably take a look at the site and take a look at trading those products now. So I'm coming from a heavy BTC trader side, and the Whale Club side of our team speak, which we share with Coin Markets, is very super heavy of Bitcoin. And they're going to want to take a look at something they're familiar with in the futures product if they would make that move over there.
Yeah, I absolutely hear what you're saying. I'm actually not sure that we would choose something that's brand new like Tron or Crave as the test bed for a futures market, though, or even margin trading, which I think is probably the thing that most people have asked for. Not necessarily 20x trading, but certainly they'd like to do 2x or 3x trading. I've heard that a few times from people.
Do you just to clarify? Do you understand kind of what I'm saying though? Like the futures contract wouldn't actually be something necessarily ongoing based upon that specific coin, but it'd be like a volume metric of when coins reach that, then a futures contract would be offered over that that whatever set period of time that you feel is a good window. That has to be tested out. I don't know what it is, but it's not like one coin is going to have a future and now you're going to offer weekly futures for kind of an indefinite period. It's just like if we can meet those parameters, then the futures contract gets offered.
I think I absolutely understand what you're saying. I think we'd probably want to experiment with both. So, I mean, basically what you're describing is actually a really cool. It is actually a really cool idea. If the moment a coin, let's say, if it hits 500 BTCs worth of volume, then we'd offer then a 3-day market would get offered for it. And for some fixed amount of time. So maybe for like a day you can get 3-day 3-day futures on that coin, and then maybe and if it keeps hitting the 500 volume mark, then maybe that window keeps rolling. But so I actually think that's a really cool idea and gives people incentive to build volume on specific kinds of coins. Or at least I think maybe building volume is the wrong way to phrase that, but it helps people, very active markets get even more active. So I like the idea. I think I think I'd like to study a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, not to call out any of the pumpers in the room, but yeah, I mean, if you had some objective, criteria and, 24-hour volume of whatever, 500 Bitcoins, once it hits that metric, you say it, 0000 UTC, contract gets struck, futures contract, 3x leverage for 3 days, then you just run till the expiration, and then you can just go on a rolling basis. Obviously, like I said, you got to kind of experiment with that, but I do see a future for, those specific, instruments going forward.
Yeah, I think it'll actually bring stability to some of the alts. Like what we saw with OKCoin. Well, at first, futures makes everything very volatile. It's going to be chaos for a first one. I don't think that can be avoided. But after a while, it limits the size of the swings. There's ways to sort of hedge against it. I think in the long run, it'll be good.
Yeah, I think you're right. We did see that quite a bit. Like when futures were first introduced in Bitcoin, it introduced a lot of volatility, but then it did have a stabilizing effect.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, to be blunt, basically, what futures did for Bitcoin was kind of compartmentalize how much the manipulation would have to happen, right? So 5% swings were plenty after a while, instead of having.
Well,
Yeah,
I just saw there was a candle earlier this week where it just like the floor just went out of the market, but I'm still waiting for one of you guys to tell me why that happened.
it's fun. There's a lot of fun involved with that. You just got to read the charts, right? And speaking of that, I know, a lot of the altcoin websites, especially coming from, legacy finance and coming from the BTC scene, we start to look at the altcoin sites, and the charting is less than what we're used to looking at now. I understand, like you guys deal with a lot of markets. Some of them become illiquid, and the candle printing is just ugly candles printing. Do you have anything in the works for charting, or do you look at like third parties like Coinigy, being like a real kind of leader in that sense?
Well, first of all, I really love Coinigy's product. So whoever does their UI is fantastic. I think it's something a lot of people in coin markets know this, but like I'm the guy who drew the short straw, so I own the UI on BitTrex. So everything you hate about BitTrex UI is my fault. Um, so um, so that I think the charts will probably get more sophisticated over time, but I'll fully admit that that's not our priority. The priority right now are things like our socket feature, speeding up the trade feeds, and just generally just continuing to improve and enhance the performance of the site. Want to make sure that we probably have, in terms of like the active number of trades, it's significantly higher than I've seen on a lot of other sites. So we're constantly tuning and making sure that the back end's improved to be able to handle all the volume that we get. So I guess I'll say that yes, we want to improve the charts, and we're going to continue to work on it. But I think progress on that will be slow. If I had to guess what people would want, they probably want us to enable things like margin trading and some of the more exotic trading types, and me spending my time making the UI work for that rather than build more widgets into the charts.
No, and actually, I 100% agree. And a lot of times, even when I talked to Bitstamp yesterday, who Najek, or I'm always going to say his name wrong, but Najek, uh, he was talking about charting, and I was kind of like, can you just like take your limited resources of development talent and focus that elsewhere? And I think you kind of hit on that point. And like I think Coinigy is doing a really great job with what they're putting out as a product. And I'd like to see you definitely work on whether it be margin trading or futures or more of that development side versus trying to get the charts right. Because as a trader, if Coinigy is going to be doing that, I mean they're already excelling and have expertise in that very specific area. And William from Coinigy actually posted on my Reddit post for this event, and he wanted to know the ETA on their WebSockets feed, on your WebSockets feed.
Well, we are actually, I think it's safe for me to say this. We are in the final testing, and so we've been going into our RC channel, occasionally posting on Twitter, but just trying to drum up people to use the beta site. If you've got a trading bot or some kind of automated trading strategy that uses our API, point it to the beta, make sure that beta is meeting your needs, and and keep helping us find and fix bugs. We think we've got all the major bugs fixed at this point, and if it stays stable and usable for a few more days, then we're going to try and launch this thing and make it live. But I want to be absolutely sure that we're not going to regress what exists on the current site. So if people could help us out and use the site and give us feedback, that'd be fantastic.
Do you have any? Someone was asking if you're going to add some stop losses on there as just like a basic order type. I'm not sure. I haven't looked. What do you just have limit and market orders right now? Am I correct?
So we actually have a way to do stop losses.
Okay. You didn't sound very confident with that. You didn't sound very confident with that answer.
Oh, sorry. So yes, we do. Like you can place conditional orders. I guess that's that's what I mean. So it isn't sort of the traditional stop loss in the sense that you can't set it up to say if the price drops 5% within a given time frame, execute some kind of sell or something. But we do have we do have conditional trading, so you can say if the price hits X value, then buy, or if it hits X value, then sell.
Yeah, like basically in a standard like OCO order is what that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
we are looking at making it more sophisticated, though. So again, when I talk about the kinds of things that we're trying to focus on in the interface, that's where I spend a lot of time, or that's where the rest of us in BitTrex, we spend a lot of time thinking about stuff like that. In between just tweaking the perf or improving the perf and rolling out more servers and and all that stuff, we do spend a lot of our time thinking about how we make it more convenient for people to trade. I know that when activity is really heavy on the site, and I go into coin markets, I often talk to guys who just haven't slept for a while. So I think more traditional ways of doing stop losses will probably help them sleep better.
Maybe. I mean, many of us just don't sleep as it is. We're so consumed. But maybe, yeah, we definitely would like those features as just other execution types to, like limit or take a better entry position, reduce cost and stuff like that. So, yeah, and just to move on then, I'd probably. Do you have any plans for like a mobile app or something more mobile friendly?
That's probably lower on the list of stuff. I'd say that's somewhere in between more trade types and margin trade. Or sorry, it's below more trade types and margin trading, but probably above like enhancing the charts.
Sure. And I'm just we're doing a little bit of a rapid fire around here, but I remember some of the other altcoin sites, probably some kind of notorious ones that are gone, would offer, I think actually Cryptsy does it still, where they do like Cripsy points or whatever it is, like based upon your trade volume, you get kind of you can trade whatever the Cripsy thing is. Do you guys do anything like that as far as like a reward points or a VIP program? Is there anything to like incentivize volume and high volume traders to be on the site?
So the answer to that, unfortunately, is no. We've tried to stay away from doing anything. Well, I guess I'll pivot this a little bit and say that, we don't. If we were to have any kind of special fee structure, it would be available to everybody. So it'd be completely transparent and and it would be available for any trader on our website. As of right now, it's just a flat fee structure. We don't provide incentives for whales or anyone who does high volume. It's just the fee structure is what it is. I guess at the same time we don't cut. We just don't cut deals with people to generate volume. There's no there's no commissionless accounts or even low commission accounts for anybody. It's just the fee is what it is.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely understand that. We're definitely kind of moving towards the end of our questioning. AABTC, do you have anything specific that you wanted to go over? I have a couple more questions, but I wanted to bring you in here.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm actually curious what else you have to ask.
Oh, thanks for just redirecting it right on me. Well, as far as I don't really have much more to ask. That's why I said it to you. But you guys do have an affiliate program, I know, and people that are probably watching expect me to post my affiliate link, but you can just use AABTC's. How
you guys have an affiliate program? Well.
So when we first started, we had an affiliate program, and it did so poorly that we've just completely discontinued it. It's something about affiliate programs that I think when people see that link or that cookie, they just delete it, and then they sign up on the site. So we've never seen the affiliate program that we set up take off at all. So we had discontinued it probably at least 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's the main difference for OKCoin and Bitfinex, right? Because Bitfinex, you have to enter the code and you get a discount for using it, whereas OKCoin,
Were you going to say okay? Go ahead, sorry.
No, I mean, like for OKCoin, it's just a cookie link. I think when I signed up, I deleted that last bit, so
Yeah, and then when it comes to like actually punching in a code, that's even more work, and so people just don't do that at all either. So it's kind of a hard nut to crack. I mean, we definitely want to incentivize people or reward people that do marketing for us, but at the same time, I have to say, crypto has been a really interesting experience for me because I'm very used to traditional software products, and you have these large marketing budgets, and you're really, you're doing a lot of advertising to drive people to, either use or buy your product. But in the case of BitTrex, it was very organic. We went on to Bitcoin Talk and we posted there, and got shit tons of excuse my language, but lots and lots of FUD about the exchange. But that was sort of the start of that, and then we started we just sat in our RC channel, and people who'd come in there would talk to us about the site, and we'd answer questions, and then over time, the user base just sort of hit a tipping point, and then off it went. But we've never done a lot of explicit marketing. This is probably one of the few interviews I think we've ever done for the site. So. Which I'm excited about. Maybe other people will come and ask us to do these. I really love engaging with the community, but I love that it's been very organic. It's felt like sort of just this natural conversation that we've had with people, rather than us trying to get our branding in front of people and forcing it down their throats.
Yeah, I mean, not to go too much off topic, but that's kind of how we started. We just did like a real casual invite with Zane. He was at OKCoin at the time. Like, hey, we want to use your product. We don't know anything about it. Can you come on? You guys are in China. There's always kind of that divide, and it went from there. So I'm really happy to see that. You took the time to come on and engage the community. Because I definitely know when I have this interaction that I become much more interested in, the people first, and then, the product or the people behind the product ultimately. And I have a lot more appreciation for it. I have a lot more, trust and wanting to see them succeed and stuff. So I'm glad, Bill, that you took the time to come out. I just got a question from the TeamSpeak channel. Nomad asked to update the beta sites documentation. They have no description of their WebSocket API, just their REST. Is it just a
Oh
flat
yeah, you know
REST?
what? It's funny you should mention that because we have the old. So the new site will support the old API for about probably for about a month. We're working on documentation for a new 2.0 API, and that API has been written like it's basically rewrote the API completely to make it easier to program against. And I'm sure people are going to love it. It's going to be much more responsive. You're going to be able to get more data. So as an example, in the current API, we'll only give you, I think, 50 rows of the order book on each side. So on the new API, you'll be able to get the full order book, things like that. I think people have been asking, or people love the distribution chart that we provide on the website for the beta. That will also be accessible through the API and the 2.0 API. So the 2.0 API is actually available right now on the beta site, but we've not docked any of it whatsoever. So if you can figure it out by looking at the JavaScript, then more power to you. But we're going to, after we move out of beta and we go live, our next priority will be to fix the documentation so that people can program against the 2.0 API. And I'm very, because it's still new, obviously as people are looking at the documentation, they'll be able to give us feedback, and we're not going to worry too much about breaking compatibility on it. But we've upped the version on it just because it's so different from the existing API.
Gotcha. I've heard that before, that you have a distribution chart. For somebody that hasn't been on your site, can you just go over what that is real quickly? Because I hear a lot of good things about this distribution chart.
Yeah, we we have a chart that shows what the top 50 wallets, what the sum of a particular coin is for the top 50 wallets on our site. So this is something, I can't remember who gave us this idea, but they were really interested in, it sort of was just like almost an abstract concept. Some guy said, man, it'd be great if I could figure out where the whales were doing things, because that might help me get a position into a coin or something like that. And we thought, that might be an interesting feature to put on the site. Let's go and just put it on there and see what the response would be. And so we have the distribution chart shows the top 50 wallets. You can see it's updated, I think, every 10 minutes. So as positions change, you can see that the graph is going to change. And, I'll be honest, it's nice eye candy, and I think it's great. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback on it. So hopefully people will continue to use it, and just let us know if they like it. Or I actually would even love for people to tell me how they're using it. So, is it really helping you with whale watching? Is it helping you decide to get a position into a coin because it is more or less distributed? What does it mean if all the coin is concentrated in one wallet? I don't know what a lot of these things. I can infer what a lot of these things mean, but I'm really curious as to how the community interprets that and how they use it in their trading decisions.
Well, I look at that quite a bit actually, and well, last week, right? Let's say you guys have like a tile coin and like Tron or Crave. Like I would look at something like Tilecoin and see that the distribution is very heavily skewed. There's a large wallet, and you can kind of use that to figure out what people are doing in it, right? You can see, is this mostly like maybe somebody's accumulating, or is it mostly just average Joe getting in? There's information there, I think.
So let me see if I can. Will it record if I share my screen?
Yeah, you can do a screen share. It should be in the upper left, the second one down.
Let me know
There
if
we
you can
go.
see this. So this is what the distribution chart would look like for Crave. There's actually a pretty nice curve here.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So this is basically just showing you that the top wallet's got 8,100 a Crave, and the 50th wallet has got 960.
Okay, now if you compare that to, for example, something like a Altcoin. Right, so I'm not completely sure how to trade that difference, but I mean, I'll figure it out somehow.
Right. So yeah, that's exactly how I would love to know from the community, like, what does something like this mean, and how do you use this in your trading?
Yeah, I know actually OKCoin does something kind of similar to that as far as the top holdings of contracts. And yeah, I mean, I've yet to see some, hard, quantitative data crunching as far as what they want out of that, or if it's just kind of trying to recognize patterns. If you see this pattern and then you see, days or weeks later, whether it's pumped, whether, it's an appreciation, what is going on, you can try and discern some information of that, like every trader does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is much more useful and transparent than OKCoin's version, I think, because for OKCoin, it's just the contract holders, right? You don't know if they're short or long or what's going on.
It tends to not really be very it almost like it sits very similar to like the amount of contracts in the wallet. You don't suddenly see somebody with or in an account have like 70,000 contracts or something. Tends to sit around like that 10 to 15K range. So it either that's kind of the standard, or people that are larger just using different accounts and stuff like that.
There was that time with Litecoin though, where somebody bought what was it, like 200,000 contracts at 27 CNY or whatever.
I think I might know who that is, but
oh no.
he's kind of hurting right now, but yeah, that's a very interesting feature.
Yep.
That's cool.
Actually, yeah, and Tron's a pretty active market. You can see that, like, through the socket, like it's updating pretty constantly.
And we're just here to wrap it up. AABTC, is there anything that you look at, to gauge altcoins that you'd like to trade and such like that? Do you see any ones that right now that seem to be setting up for that to your liking at all?
Oh well, I mean, Crave kind of kick-started the whole alts or back thing by itself, actually. And well, right now I'm looking at a lot of Tron. It looks promising.
All right.
There's the chart for Tron for this to see.
Yeah, there is a pretty large first holder, but I mean, for the rest of the graph, it's very smooth distribution, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that could mean anything, though. Maybe if you have a giant holder in the front, somebody has insider and they're just single-handedly buying the whole market. I don't know. Maybe that's what Altcoin's about.
Could be. All right, well, we're running right up on the hour mark, is usually about when I want, these Hangouts to be. So, Bill, I thank you for coming on. Do you have anything to add that we haven't covered at all? Because I haven't gotten any of your feedback as far as some of the stuff we've covered, if I missed anything.
Well, I don't have any particular feedback. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. And I guess maybe the last thing I'm going to do is just pump the beta. We need more people using it and providing us feedback. And our goal is to make sure, and this is why it's been in beta for so long. We've caught a little bit of flack for it being in beta for so long, but we didn't want to release. We didn't want to suddenly turn on beta and make it live, and the whole site being broken. I mean, I know some other exchanges have done that in the past. So, we wanted to make sure that it was stable, that we eliminated as many bugs as we could possibly find, and that it provides a better experience than the current site that people have gotten used to. So, we're just encouraging everyone to continue to use the beta, and if you guys think it's ready, then that's when we're going to turn it on.
Yeah,
Well,
I think we're all looking forward to BitTrex, being the first exchange to come out of beta like that. It's exciting.
all right. Well, I thank you, Bill, for coming on and showing us around BitTrex and answering some of our more pointed questions. So, with that, I'll thank AABTC for guest hosting with me, and the absent chair that is BTC Drac, who never woke up. But and once again, you can find us all over at Whale Club TeamSpeak, ts.whaleclub.io. So have a good night.
Thanks, guys.